on Aurora, or was on Aurora and 105th, and is no longer there. Has been knocked down along with a whole bunch of other buildings on that corner of Aurora and 105th to make way for a apartment building, which is up now because this happened actually when I was gone, when I was in Pittsburgh. But before I left, it was one of Erin's and mine favorite spots to go for breakfast. They had a great. It was, and for those of you just joining us, good morning. It's Mikey and Vinnie.
Good morning.
Michael, Vinnie. Michael's in Pasadena. I'm in Seattle, and we will get to the big topic of the day here in just a second. But just to finish out my thought there, it was a great breakfast restaurant, Cindy's House of Pancakes, 105th and Aurora. The neighborhood had kind of gone down over the years, but we used to love going there. They had, you name it, the kind of pancakes that you wanted. They had them, Swedish pancakes, you name it. And they had these great Pulp Fiction type booths. As you could see, it had that kind of early 70s style, that cuddle up style, I guess you call it. They look like love seats or something. But it was a great place, just like many other great places in Seattle that were there one day and gone the next. And I think you could say the same thing for if there's a Cindy's in Tehran, probably the same thing. There yesterday, gone today.
I've been to Cindy's in Abu Dhabi. I think we all have.
Well, Cindy's in Abu Dhabi probably no more, as events of the weekend, starting with Friday night. What is it with Trump and Friday night?
Well, the tradition is you dump your most sensitive stories on Friday night because they don't get covered. The people don't watch the news on Friday night. The people don't watch the news on Saturday. So you theoretically have got 2 days to lose that story without facing the wrath of the press or the media. That's in theory. I think now with the 24-hour news cycle that we live within, the idea of being able to pick a night where there's no news coverage or no audience watching the news is a dream. I think that's no longer accurate. So if you're going to start a war when you told everyone you weren't, if you're going to pretend to be negotiating in Geneva while you're pulling your aircraft carriers into position to bomb the Revolutionary Guard back to the Stone Age, if you're going to kill the Ayatollah, it's a good idea to do it on a Friday night. Save him the embarrassment of having to do the Saturday and Sunday Ayatollah shows and then get offed while he's in his bathrobe. Yeah. That's something to be discussed at another time. But Friday night was the traditional dump the sensitive story and hope that you get limited coverage. However, the story that Donald Trump began with the invasion or the bombing of the targets in Iran, that got quite a bit of attention. And
they broke into everything.
They broke into everything. They went wall to wall, and they should have. It's a story that the full impact is yet to make itself understood and known and seen, and we don't really know what the end game is going to be because we don't know how long it's going to take. We don't know what the goal is. We don't know who's should be watching for the Marines coming through their bathroom window. We don't know what they plan. This idea that it's going to take 4 weeks. If Donald Trump says it's going to take 4 weeks, I just have to assume that that's a lie, and it's going to take far longer or far shorter. And I can't see it being a short adventure. This is going to be something that already, I think, the military structure of our government regrets doing. They have to. Can you imagine what it's going to be like to read the history of this? We invaded Kuwait, we invaded Iraq, we invaded Afghanistan, and then after we finally got that all off the books, and we put ourselves in the position where we were not involved in the Middle East, what did we do? What did we do? What did we learn from all that crap, from all that death, from all that frustration and all the good and evil intentions that we came up with? What did we do in 2026 to prove that we had learned nothing? We did it again. It's almost impossible to believe.
Yeah, I mean, for president, I have this is really tough. I have real mixed feelings about this. I mean, I'm going to tell you right off the top, because I am not a fan of the Iranian regime. I'm not a fan of their exporting of terrorism, of their keeping their people in poverty so that they can spend billions of dollars to buy weapons and support terrorist groups, not only just in their region, but all over the world.
The Houthis, the Hezbollah.
Yeah, I mean, you name a terrorist group, and it appears that Iran is behind it, financially or however they want to be. And they also appear that their negotiating tactics are not tactics of negotiating in good faith. Not that I think that Donald Trump negotiates in good faith either.
Valid point.
But I think that the Iranians' negotiating tactics have gone on for a longer time, and with different presidents, not just Trump. It's gone back to Biden and Obama and Clinton and Bush. I mean, it's just the way and I'm talking about now the leadership, the hierarchy, not the people of Iran. In a way, it's developed into a strangely similar situation that we have here in the United States, where the people don't necessarily agree with what the government does, but the government holds such a strong hand over them, and that's what you get when you get a dictatorship, that the people are almost powerless to do much about anything. And so they just go along, and the ones that have the means or the ability or can bribe people, because from what I have read and what I understand, it's an extremely corrupt country. You can buy your way out of there. And people do that. They somehow get visas, have the ability to get out of there. They have the same kind of, not to a degree that we do, but the same kind of brain bleed, people who brain drain, I guess you want to call it, that we do here, where people that are intelligent, people that have some means, want to get out of the country. They want to go.
The largest group of those who have left Iran are right here in Los Angeles. Southern California is the number one destination for their relocation.
Yeah. Also, oddly enough, Detroit.
So we're on full tactical alert, and the LAPD is on the watch for chicanery and evildoers and bad vibes.
I think they should be.
And if they don't find it that way, just go to a gas station in about 2 days and fill her up and see what you're going to be paying. Well, see what the end result of all this nonsense is.
Yeah,
See, see what Donald Trump means when he said he was not going to ever start a war, no foreign wars.
Well, listen, if you believe anything that Donald Trump says, then I feel sorry for you, because there's, he lies. How can any president say that they're not going to start foreign wars? No president of this country can say that, because to protect the United States, you are probably going to have to take some kind of action during the 4 years that you're in office to either take out something, take out somebody, take out a regime, do something that, even if you are just acting in defense of the United States, you're going to have to do something. Every president has done it, right? What president has not, whether they liked it or not, whether it's to their taste, but every president we've had that we has done things that we know about. So the very idea that somebody could stand up and say, I'm not going to get involved in a foreign war or a foreign country, is absolute bullshit. And if you're dumb enough to believe it, you
get a president like Donald Trump.
Yeah. And, I mean, how many times did he say, on no more wars, no more involvement, America first, this, that, the other thing. And again, you can cloak this in the protection of America. And if you listen to many of the people who know about these things, I mean, I happen to listen to Fareed Zakaria a lot. I think he's a very intelligent and has a very good finger on what's going on in the Middle East.
And he understands the culture and the structure of their government and their traditions. And he made a very interesting point. I'm glad you brought his name up, because you're right. He's on the money. And he's the only guy I saw yesterday or through the weekend who said, don't hope that the death of the Ayatollah is going to change everything. There's 300,000 members of the Revolutionary Guard. They don't want to mingle with the people. They are a separate entity. They are separate from the rest of the government. They're the strength. They're the power. They're the muscle. They're the killers. They're the murderers. And when one's down, the next one comes in. Same thing with the Ayatollah. There's a whole layer of the mullahs and the religious guys that are defended and propped up by the Revolutionary Guard. And when one goes down, they pick an imam from somewhere else, and he's the new dude. The idea that you can throw a couple bombs their way and be rid of them is a terrible mistake to make. That's not how it's going to work. There's another guy waiting in line.
That's exactly, it's not like, when we traditionally as Americans think of regime change, we kind of have this vision of going back to places like Cuba or, when we supported putting Batista in power, pre-Castro, kids go look it up on the Google, or Venezuela, or just several different South American countries mostly, but also we were the foster of regime change in Iran many, many years ago. It's really what started this whole freaking thing, was with the Shah of Iran, the Pahlavi, which was, who was banished and was the cause of the 79 hostages being taken at the American embassy back in 1979. So, and there's two layers of government there. There is the religious government, which are the Ayatollahs and the mullahs, and they seem to have the power over the secular people that are the other half of the ruling. I don't want to say ruling class, because that's not what it is, but the ruling group, which is the the Republican Guard and all of that. So it's not a simple bang, bang, bang. You're getting rid of one guy. You tell him you got 24 hours to get out of the country, and or it's not a Mussolini situation. It's not a Hitler situation. It's nothing like any of that. These people think on a different level than they did.
And
So
for all of its problems, the nature of the Iranian people is to be very independent. They are not easily affiliated with other powers in the Middle East. A good example is, are they friends with the Saudi Arabians? No, they are not. Are they friends with the Iraqis? No, they hate them. Have they gone to war with anybody? They'll go to war with anybody. They'll sponsor revolutionaries, killers, criminals in any other part of the world, and keeping Hezbollah and money and weapons.
right, because they're avowed. I read this maybe in the Times last night. Maybe I think it might have been the Times. But when you look at most countries, the when a regime takes over, it is about making the country better. It's we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. I mean, even Saddam Hussein, when he was running Iraq, was putting all these things out. Iraq is a great country. Da 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 da. The Iranians, not the again, the government of Iran, their logo, their sayings, all center around death to America, death to Israel. There's no Iran a better tomorrow, or Iran, power to the people, or Iran this or Iran. It is all about death to these countries, the United States and Israel, and to anyone who, they always come up with these fancy phrases for it, but it basically is any death to anybody who gets in our way.
And Vinnie, this is the first time we've seen them. The first time we've seen them stretch it to the whole neighborhood. Nobody expected. I don't think it was a bit of a surprise. I don't think American intelligence said they're going to start shooting their drones into Oman, Yemen, Bahrain, Abu Dhabi. They're going to hit all the United Arab Emirates. They're going to hit every small, what's the word they use, vassal states. They're going to get to all of them. They're going to start blowing up the Fairmont Hotel in Abu Dhabi. They're going to hit the airport and all the capitals around them. They're going to take revenge on their neighbors, and that's what they've done. And it was unexpected, and it's destabilized everything much faster than we expected. And now that Israel has gone into Lebanon, name a border that hasn't been crossed. Name a country that hasn't been invaded. Name somebody who's not watching the hotels burn in their capital. And of course, to make it worse, we killed 165 people at a girls' school, which is something that cannot be explained to me.
And Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, sees this as another one of his opportunities to
cross the border to Lebanon.
Not just that, but to establish himself and Israel as the supreme ruler of the region.
Right.
I don't think it's any secret that he wants to run things in that region. Yeah, he'll tell you he wants to have this and that and the other thing, but the bottom line is he wants, he doesn't want peace in the sense of let's get along with our neighbors. He wants total domination of the region.
Right.
And that's And one of the things that we're going to have to do as Americans, and we don't get to vote on it, but we're going to have to understand that we're going to start seeing bodies coming home in boxes. We're going to start to see a lot of bodies coming home in boxes.
We're going to
Our
see
sons
the
and our daughters are going to
dollars,
be coming home in boxes.
dollar signs are going to change, and the already tenuous financial problems that Trump has got going on are going to be multiplied, and there's nothing he can do to stop it. He can't just declare peace and hope that this goes back to zero and gas goes down $1. That's not the way it's going to be.
No. It's already. I think oil was already up 10 or $12 a barrel this morning.
Yeah.
Early this morning on the early markets. So you're gonna, I mean, the price. We're gonna live, and I said this on drive time Saturday morning before you joined me, and thank you again for doing that. That this is going to cause us to see $7 or $8 a gallon gasoline on the West Coast before it's all over. Because the only solid weapon that Iran has, in my opinion, and again, I don't, I'm no expert on this. I just, I read a lot about it, like everybody, like most people should. The only solid weapon that they have is to close the Straits of Hormuz, is to close the shipping lanes that gets the oil out of the region. So they don't just shut off our oil supply to us, but they shut it off to the entire world, and they cause financial harm over there to not just them, but all the countries in the region. And
that's the way it's already happened.
Yeah, and they're willing to die to do that. They're willing to kill their people to do it. So this is what you're up against, and this is not going to be. This is a lot of people are kind of go back to the Iraq thing, where it took us. What did it take to get Saddam Hussein out? A week or two, But that's not the end of it. That's not the end of it at all. And how many people do we have? Well, how many veterans are walking around with their legs shot off, or their arms shot off, or whacked out because they were shot at, or shot up, or blown up by
and the long-term problems, mental problems, and emotional problems that came from fighting neighborhood to neighborhood and house to house and street fighting, because they were willing to use their streets in Baghdad and all the other cities throughout Iraq to mount their defense. They couldn't beat us in the street fight, but they could hide from house to house.
Right.
They could make themselves impossible to find. They could make the process bloody and difficult and dangerous. And there's more of that coming, because Trump has already said today that he's not ruled out putting in a ground force. After all that we have learned about that, he says, I haven't given up on it yet.
Well, you can't have regime change if you're not willing to put in a ground force. If you're not willing to put people in there and take out the cancer that is the old regime, you're not really going to change. It's been name me a regime change that has happened that the United States has been involved in that has worked from the air.
It can't be done.
You just because number one, you have to be in the communities. Number two, with the air war comes this risk, and we've seen it already, of people of us bombing things like girls' schools and hospitals and taking out facilities that make us look bad. No matter how well-intentioned we are, mistakes happen. And so you can't just, boom, go and say, well, we're just going to, I mean, it's kind of weird because we do have the ability to take out some guy sitting on his toilet in his apartment in downtown Tehran. But with that ability comes the chance that we miss and that we cause harm that will turn the people that we're trying to save, I guess, or however we want to look at it, trying to help, turn against us. It's kind of hard to preach regime change and democracy, and I really hate that because you're not going to change these long established countries that are warring with each other and are used to kings and sheiks and dictators into democracies. You're not going to turn Saudi Arabia into a democracy.
And Donald Trump changes his mind every 15 minutes. He can't maintain a thought long enough to see it through. And the generals that he's painted into a corner are willing to do the war the way he wants, even though it makes no sense, even though there's no rhyme or reason to it, even though it's already coming off the tracks and unfocused and indefensible, and giving everyone watching it on television all the doubt that they need to think that this is not going to turn out beautifully. This is not going to turn out as planned. And Vinnie, it could go sideways so many different ways. Every day, something new is going to happen. And then Donald Trump's just going to lose interest in it. You can't be, he can't maintain focus.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
I didn't hear what you said either. We canceled each other on that one.
I said he'll be in it until something else that catches his attention comes along. So he'll, I mean, he's into it today. He was into it over the weekend, and it certainly helped him get the Epstein stuff off of the front pages.
That's what it's all about. Any price is a good price to pay to get Epstein off the front page.
Everybody rent a copy or go on your streaming service and get Wag the Dog and watch it. That's your homework assignment for this week. By Friday, we want a full report. It's just sad that we can't come to a better way of doing this stuff. It's sad that we can't figure out a better way of I used to think, Michael, that if you showed people how to take impoverished people, torn people, people who have felt oppressed for so many years, and showed them an economic way to make themselves and their country better, that it would work. The people would say it's not worth us to go to war if we have this opportunity through economic enhancement, economic development, using our minerals or whatever we have in our country to make money and things better. But I also, sometimes shortchange people's ability to be corrupt, people's ability to want to take everything for themselves, the long entrenched feuds that are in these countries. These are countries that have been fighting each other for 5,000 years. Why should I think that it's going to change? Because you show them that, hey, instead of fighting each other, you can do this and make money and have jobs and a robust economy. I mean, you go back and
they're just not thinking that way. They're thinking,
just don't think that way. And usually religion is what gets in the way.
Yeah.
Usually the concept that God is is going to take care of everything if you just submit is something that
it's a story we've heard before.
Yeah, we've heard it before. Even the most fervent believers in God know deep in their heart that God is going to take care of things if you take care of things. But if you just leave it in God's hands, I don't know that it's going to take care of it. Maybe it will, but I've never seen anything so far to prove that to be right. You have to, and anyway, it really comes down to this belief that the mullahs and the ayatollahs and everybody are calling the shots, and they're going to call the right shots. And it seems to me that since 1979, they have not called the right shots. They have put their country back into literally the Stone Age for the last 40 years. And what now?
And tried to export that mindset, that dissatisfaction with the modern world to the point where they have their enemies and their goal-directed behavior that was so dark and so negative and so awful, so unmodern, so medieval. Got a cat here. A cat that is not willing to pray 5 times a day on a rug with no shoes, hoping for a better world. He won't do it.
We need a better world, Michael. We need something better than what we're dealing with. We need something better than what we're dealing with this morning. That's for sure.
I can't see any bright side to this. I can't see it as being a regime-changing military solution to anything. And I curse the generals that are working for Trump right now because they haven't learned anything. All those good grades they got at West Point and Annapolis went for naught because their ability to learn about the Middle East and to not dabble in that pit of confusion and misleading events is endless. It is an infinite hole that no one should get involved in. And if you are a general that thought, hey, a war in the Middle East, that's what we haven't tried yet. Let's try that. Let's try it today. We'll launch it over the weekend. We'll start on a Friday night so the news is not covering it. And we'll be 2 weeks tops. We'll be in, we'll be out. We'll have a new Ayatollah. He'll be pro-California. He'll want to go to Disneyland. And the Pope will get off our back. And the NATO guys will see that we're tough. And they'll realize that we're a power to be reckoned with. And we'll learn. We'll get it right this time. We'll show them. We'll change the regime. They'll all be moved out, and we'll have done it in a professional manner. And people will say, "Yeah, the U.S. military really got it together this time. They failed in the Middle East so many times. They failed in Afghanistan and Iraq and Israel and Lebanon. They failed when they tried. But this time they got it right. All they had to do was invade Iran. That was missing from their list of things to do. That was the right move. That was the way to go. That was the solution to all our problems in the Middle East."
But do we know that Trump listened to his generals? Do we know that the generals didn't go in there and say to him, "You're nuts if you do this"?
I'd be very surprised if they had anything negative to say about his ideas.
Now, the few generals that I have seen over the past couple of days that have been on different news shows, excuse me, seemed to be in that space of, well, it was going to have to happen at some point because the threat from Iran was such that if we wanted to prevent another serious attack in this country, that something was going to have to give. And if we wanted to prevent it, and I left out one thing, if we wanted to prevent an attack on Israel, because we are knee deep in the hoopla with Israel as well.
Well, let's worry about
the
threat.
Thing,
the threat for a sleeper cell is New York and L.A. To hell with Tel Aviv. New York and LA are the ones that are in the target right now, and we're vulnerable because the idiots that work for Trump fired all our experienced case officers in the CIA and the NSA and all the levels of the FBI that should be there to protect us are all gone now. The experience,
and that was one of the things that I wanted to bring up with you was getting toward is that, do you trust who's the brain trust of all of these different pieces of the government that has to work to protect us? Kristi Noem, the head of
Homeland Security.
The Homeland Security. Pete Hegseth, the head of the Department of War.
Kash Patel.
Kash Patel? Forget it. I don't even want to tell you what he's the head of. Trump as the commander-in-chief. I mean, there's not a whole lot of people here that I look at and say, okay, I feel good going to war with these people. I feel that these people know what they're doing. There's not a whole lot of people there. You could be the most optimistic person in the world, and you could be the most, the biggest hawk in the world, and you could be the person that says, this had to happen. We had to do this. But the bottom line is this lineup of characters that are running the show, that have their hands on our weapons, that have the ability to point and say, this is what we need to do, this is what we need to do. What's the plan?
Buffoons and maroons.
Yeah, who is going to execute this? Who is smart enough to draw up this plan to execute it? And will they listen to the generals? That's something that I've thought since the last Trump administration. Will the generals be listened to? The people that do know how to fight a war, that do know how to prosecute a war. Will these people be listened to? Or will they say, well, yeah, great. We'll call you next week,
They may know how, but this group of generals has not had the opportunity to do it. This is their first rodeo, and they've got zero experience taking full responsibility for an invasion in the Middle East. And we'll see how bright they are. We'll see how dedicated and talented and remarkable these leaders are. And we'll see soon whether they are capable of prosecuting a fight. And I'd like to know which one of them came up with the theory that when Iran got invaded and the top guys started buying it over the weekend, who said, you know what, they're gonna start shooting at their own capitals. The smaller states that ring Saudi Arabia that are all have American bases. Each one of them will get a visit on an ongoing basis from their Italian drones that everybody is using. And the reaction will be quick, and it'll be a domino effect, and we'll be in a wider war in a matter of hours. It won't just be Iran. It'll be United Arab Emirates and Oman and Yemen and All the major players will be there. Saudi Arabia's in it. They've had their oil refineries hit. Lebanon is in it because the Hezbollah forces use them as a launching pad. Israel's in it because, of course, they see this as an opportunity. Name a country, even Iraq was invading the United States embassy in the Green Zone. Karachi, Pakistan, involved in a riot at the American embassy. There's no country within spitting distance of the Middle East that's not involved. Each one is involved. All their governments are involved. All their Army, Navy, Air Force capabilities are on alert, if not in the air. And drones are the new toy. Everybody's got drones. They're affordable. They're usable. You drive them anywhere you want. You don't need a pilot. And the long-term use of them is going to be a major part of this war. And we don't have any. We don't have drones there right now. We got to put a guy in an F-17.
And the guy that probably is most scared right now, that is most watching his behind, is a guy that's hundreds of miles away from the Middle East. And that is the fine people in Ukraine.
Vladimir Zelensky.
Vladimir Zelensky and his crew, because this opens up a large hole for Vladimir Putin just to do what he wants to do. Is the United States going to be able to respond to what Putin wants to do if they're all tied up in the Middle East?
And NATO is involved because England said that they would not participate and we couldn't use their bases. The first thing that happened is one of their bases got hit on Cyprus. And so they're involved whether they want to be or not, but not on our side and not to help us. They're just defending their own position.
So, so that's something that we haven't heard too much about. And
we don't have friends anymore, Ben. We don't have friends like we used to have.
No. And I think that, that's because the gentleman in the White House, excuse me, I don't know how that slipped out. The clown in the White House over the past year and a couple of months has pissed off everybody from Canada, to Antarctica. There's no country that we do business with that he hasn't pissed off. He's pissed off the drug cartels and he's pissed off the police. He's pissed off the governments that like us and he's pissed off the governments that don't like us. And he's going to find out here, I think in short order, how much you need friends at a time like this.
And this is a guy who this week is talking about taking over Cuba, taking over Greenland, taking over name the country, Venezuela. He's got a list of vassal states that are going to work for him and be happy about it. They're going to be really pleased that he's come in to take their product and to give them zero security. It's madness. It's the definition of madness.
When you put countries in a position where you have hurt their economies, have hurt their working people, have gone against a system that had its faults, but had been working fairly good, had trade agreements with people in harmony, and people were, goods were moving back and forth, people were going back and forth. Nobody was really, nobody was so hurt by what was going on that they were crying. Everybody seemed to be able to get along, except for the Chinese, really, and the Russians, the Chinese with the tariffs and the Russians with the sanctions. Um, and now you've pissed everybody off to the that when you're going to need help, and you are going to need help. I heard one general say over the weekend that our munitions supplies, our ability to wage war, bullets,
thousands of
because
miles
to have
apart.
a war, the minimum requirement is, and they will tell you this when you make the application out to start a war, how many bullets do you have?
And how do you get them from Indiana to the
Right,
Middle East?
right. How do you get them there? How do you get your bullets where they got to go, and how many bullets do you have? And if you don't have a minimum amount of bullets, you can't. They won't approve your application to go to war because you become very much in danger of not being able to have the bullets to defend yourself.
And all those bases that we have in the Middle East are now not available to us. They're not available to us because the home country is in the crosshairs of the Iranian weapons that they do have, their missiles and their drones. And if you want more Fairmont hotels to burn in Abu Dhabi, then let the Marines use your base, and you'll get, that's what you'll get. You will have your economy, and you know that the smaller nations of the Middle East are vacation destinations for Europe and the Far East. People want to go to the big hotels and resorts and gambling areas of the Middle East, and now no one can go there. No one can fly there. The airline industry is on its knees worldwide. They can't fly through the Middle East. The German travel boats, you know, the several layers deep, they're trapped in the waters there, full of tourists that are now in the middle of a war zone with a ship that can't defend itself. It's a huge target, but it's sitting in the water, can't put to port, can't get back to Germany, can't get out of the area where it is because it's in a war zone. This multiplies everything that's going on in the world by trouble and financial distress. The markets reflected, the people reflected. Anybody with a sense of history can see where this is going, but not Donald Trump, not the generals, not us. Somehow we can't figure it out. We just blundered into it, and in 3 days we made a dog's dinner of it.
Well, it's certainly going to be, it's certainly going to be to be something that you're going to have to keep your eye on. If you were thinking, well, I was going to take a nice month and go to spring training and relax and just not, put the whole thing out of my head for, a month and enjoy the month of March and go out and get drunk on St. Patty's Day. That ain't happening.
No.
If you're a person that watches this stuff, you're gonna have to keep your eye on it because it's as volatile as the Middle East has been in my memory. This
is the goofiest.
It's because there's no clear. I mean, what's the clear plan? What happens if the Iranian people say, you know what? Iran first. We'll, you did what you did, but we didn't call you and ask you to do it.
No.
What you saw from the outside isn't what you think. We like these guys. We want to chant death to America. I don't think that's the case.
We want our devils, not your devil.
Right. But we think as Americans that we can read into other people's minds because they all want what we have. Well, I don't know that everybody wants. Now they may want what Denmark has. They may want what Switzerland has. I can see people wanting nice cars and good health care and all of the things that that a government that works for the people brings to them. But I don't know. There's no clear picture of what they're trying to do. I hope the one thing I will say, from my opinion, is that I hope that the Iranian people take Trump's cue, his advice, his invitation to seize your government. I hope they do it. I hope that they have the strength and the fortitude, that they are backed up not just by the United States, but by the other Arab countries.
They won't
That's
do
what
it.
always bothered me about the whole thing that was going on.
They've got the
Gaza.
guns and they've got the muscle.
They're not. It's not a poor. They're not poor countries over there. They got guns. They got weapons. They got things. Yet nobody. The United States had to be the ones to put the pressure on. Those countries should be put. They should want peace in their region. Am I wrong? I mean, you would think, but you don't see. Everybody there's going, well, as long as we got the United States to do our dirty work for us, why should we get involved?
Well, they didn't get involved, and they're not involved today. They're watching their own position being eroded by the anger of the Iranians and the weapons that are in their skies are coming from their neighbors. That's something that we didn't figure on. And what else on the list of 10 things did we not imagine would happen that's going to happen now in short order, one after another, that blunts our effort, that makes our generals look stupid, makes our leaders look pathetic, that makes the situation look hopeless? That's what's waiting for us. That's the quagmire of the Middle East. That's the mess that we've got ourselves into. That's what we never learned in the last 3 times we've done this. And this will have to be the last one, because we can't ever do this again.
Well, the reality is, Michael, that it's not going to, you know as well as I know, it's not going to be the last one. This is not going to be the last time this happens. Now, again, if the Iranian people take that cue and they do something about seizing their government, they turn out into the streets.
They'll be shot one at a time. They haven't got the weapons. They haven't got any guns. All the guns are with the Revolutionary Guard.
The United States is going to have to come in, right? And again, we're going to be now meddling in somebody else's affairs, but we're going to have to supply them with weapons. So I have to supply them with the means, or send troops in, boots on the ground, and you know what's going to happen?
Get ready for the draft, Baron Trump.
That's right. Get ready for the draft. Get ready for body bags. Get ready for $8, $10 a gallon gas. Get ready for it all.
Get ready for 10 years of war.
Does the farmer in Iowa that voted for Trump, does the pickup truck driving dude in Montana that voted for Trump in Missoula, Montana, in Idaho,
is he ready to claim his prize?
Are they ready to send their sons and daughters off to guarantee freedom for Iran, a place that less than 38% of Americans can point out on a map?
It's as grim a storyline as we've ever faced. And Donald Trump brought this about on his own. He destabilized the world to the point where it was primed to do this. He tore up the agreement that he had for nuclear development because it had Obama's name on it. He negotiated a better one in Geneva just last week, but never signed it, never committed to it, and started a war instead. He lied about the condition of the ability to enrich uranium and make bombs. He lied about their obliteration of the nuclear program. He lied about the negotiations. He's lied every step of the way. He lied about what Israel was going to do and what he was going to do and what the United States had planned. He had the generals all queued up. He had the aircraft carriers so that he could do the invasion, but he hasn't got a means to sustain a war because he has no way to get his war-like materials to the Middle East. He's in a world of hurt.
Can't get all the generals on the same pages. All the people, all the officials are all, many of them, not all, but many of them are giving conflicting stories about what even the goal is.
Right.
So
madness.
And I still don't trust Pete Hegseth as far as I could throw him. That guy is bad news. Dude. He's bad news, bad news, bad news. I wouldn't put him in charge of anything. So
what a morose Monday we've got going here. What a miraculous mess we've got for our Monday. And what the only thing that is reflective of our particular American future is tomorrow's election day in Arkansas, Texas, and South Carolina. And what are the people of America going to vote for? What are they going to send to represent their needs and their concerns and their fears and their hopes? Who are they going to entrust with the future of America? The rest of the Republican Party, which is for the most part just on its knees and waiting for directions from Donald Trump. It's not a party. It's not a force. It's not something to be reckoned with. It's not even a vote.
It's a cult. It's a cult. For the most part. And they've got themselves in a position where even if they wanted to get away from Trump, get out from under his influence, it'd be tough to do.
They're too fearful.
They branded themselves in such a way that there's no turning back. Now, the Democrats better think long and hard about this and come up with some solid ideas and solid plans and solid things to give to people to say, this is what we want to do. This is what our plan is. This is how we will fix the situation. And if it's...
And who's going to protect us in the meantime? Who's going to protect us from the sleeper cells and the idea of terrorist attacks? Who's going to do that?
Kash Patel is on it. Kristi Noem is on it. They're protecting us right now.
Yeah. I feel it.
Don't you feel safer? Don't you feel better that Kristi Noem is a person who doesn't know that the stock market is in points? Oh, no, that was, I'm sorry, that's Pam Bondi.
Yeah,
yeah, there's another one.
She knows now. She hasn't completely got it squared away in her brain, but she knows that she misspoke.
If you want to know more, if you're somebody who doesn't know much about Iran and you're saying to yourself, what is this country? And you don't want just the screed that people have given you since 1979, and you don't want the death to America stuff that the Iranian people have cranked out, the Iranian government has cranked out since 1979. If you want a pretty good look at Iran and what it's about and what their culture is and what their their background is. I posted a wonderful piece that was done 20 years ago, I think, by Rick Steves, who is a neighbor of mine here in Edmonds, and is, as we know, a well-known travel writer, PBS travel writer, and venturer, and has a very good, solid way of explaining what's going on in the country that stretches far beyond what market stall to get preserved lemons and harissa at. He really has a good way of looking at these cultures and breaking it down into pieces that you can understand. He posted a show over the weekend about Iran, and he did when he visited there back in 2008, I believe it was, and it's a wonderful show that gives you some idea of what that country is about, the people of that country, not the government, but the people of that country. And I think it's worth a look, especially if you have kids that are asking you, well, what's this all about? He explains it in a very teacher-like, a very non-judgmental way. He doesn't take sides. He just shows you, tells you what the culture was. And again, it's 20 years old, but to be honest with you, not much has changed over there in 20 years. So
the willingness of a government to control its people just by killing them is a interesting point of view, and that simplifies it beyond the complications that make it a reality. But that's basically what we're dealing with here: a theocracy that's propped up by a 300,000 man force of imperial guard, and they're willing to kill the innocent people in the streets to maintain their power. And that's how we got into this mess, because one of the things they wanted to do was to support revolutionary ideas around the world and do it in a very negative and destructive and painful and murderous way. And at the same time, Vinnie, they love the idea of making bombs and advancing their weaponry and investing the money that they make by selling oil to the Russians and the Chinese so that they can support the Hezbollahs of the world and at the same time make a bomb of their own. And how that works with a mullah, I can't explain to you. I can't tell you how a religious theocracy that's propped up by a murdering clan of 300,000 Revolutionary Guards, how the hell that got started. But that's what happened. That's what we're dealing with. And you can't rub it out by a few bombs in the neighborhoods. This is not going to end easily. And it may, in fact, intensify their response. We're going to be dealing with a gang.
It's going to be worse before it gets better. That's for sure. I mean, I don't think that we have to be claim us to be that we have to claim that we are prognosticators or that we are sharp military experts or anything. It's plain to see that bad people are going to try to exercise every little bit of bad they have in them before they go.
Yes, starting last night.
That's what you're going to see with these guys. So I hope that things will. I hope that things will. By the time we get back together on Wednesday,
we'll have a whole new world.
That at least we're not sitting here talking about thousands that are dead. That it's still a few, as few as it is right now, and that a clear plan is presented so that we know.
Donald Trump will lie once again and say, hey, the Iranians call me, they want to talk. And the Iranians have made it clear that they are through with negotiating. They haven't got part B down. The idea of actually fighting us is going to be difficult for them, but their will and their intent is not to talk anymore. They're done talking, and they're not just mad at us; they're mad at all their neighbors, and it's a ghastly, open-ended situation. A wider war for the region sounded so professional. Careful of the Middle East. It could spread into a wider war in the region. Well, what would that look like? Can't be that bad.
How many times have you said the phrase to yourself, well, it sounded like a good idea at the time?
Yeah, it seemed like a great idea at the time.
Seemed like a great idea. Well,
but he said, you heard him, he said it was going to work. That's why we're here. We followed him.
I pray for the people. I pray for the people that are involved in this, that they have the wisdom and what it takes to figure it out so that the best possible outcome can happen for everybody involved, except the scumbags that run Iran. I mean, those are gangsters. They're bad people. Nobody should shed a tear that the Ayatollah Khamenei is pushing up daisies this morning. He was a bad person. He stole and murdered from his own people.
Happy to do it. No charge.
Pretty much the same thing that Hitler was doing in 1930s Germany.
And that the Shah did before him, and the Revolutionary Guard did before him, and why they are consistently evil toward their own people is pretty hard to understand and defend.
Yeah, it's true. It's so true. Is that their own people are their worst victims. They steal and they kill and they rape and they pillage their own people.
Now watch the capitals of the world. It's time for the people of the free world to take to the streets and to demand of their governments that peace be inflicted on the region as opposed to the war. And I don't care what Netanyahu wants. The people of America want peace. The people of Europe demand peace. The people of the area surrounding the Middle East. How would you like to live in Greece or Italy right now? How would you like to live in Egypt? How would you like to be that just close enough to the war zone that you can't fly commercially?
They can lob a weapon over there.
Right.
No, I wouldn't like to be there right now. I like the comfort of having two oceans between us and the fray.
And where are the sleeper cells, Ben?
What?
Where are the sleeper cells? Are they in an apartment in Burbank?
They very well, Michael. They could be right upstairs from me.
Right.
And I don't know about it. They could be anywhere. Very important. If you live,
say something.
Yeah, if you live in a place where, wherever you live, if there's something that doesn't look right, say something. Don't be one of those people that say, "Well, I knew it was." The people they always interview on the news. Well, it looked funny. They had a lot of cars.
We had a feeling.
We had a feeling, but we just didn't want to say anything.
Didn't want to get involved.
Yeah, well, it's time to get involved. If you see something and it doesn't look right, that doesn't mean if somebody has their dog take a crap on your lawn that you call, the FBI and say, no, we're talking about serious stuff. This is serious. And don't forget, many times when the police in New York City have thwarted a terrorist plot of people that wanted to blow up Times Square or wanted to blow up the Empire State Building or wanted to blow up the United Nations, it was done because somebody tipped them off.
Somebody in the bodega said, that guy's truck could park there all day long. Nobody parks there all day long. This is New York. You don't park like that. Something's up.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, what was it? Not more than a few years ago when they got that one guy who had a car full of explosives in Times Square. It was because somebody walked by the car and I forget if it was saw blankets in the car, saw something in the car, and didn't just keep walking, but went to a beat cop that was standing in Times Square and says, I don't like the looks of that car. It doesn't look right.
It's not New York. Something's wrong.
Yeah, it's not. It just doesn't look right. Could you take a look at it? And the beat cop walked over, he looked at it, and within about 20 minutes, they had half of Midtown Manhattan blocked off. So it's a time to be vigilant.
That's how you save your city.
That's how you become a hero. You want to become a hero? That's how you become a hero, by staying vigilant. All right, Michael.
We'll see each other Wednesday, and
Wednesday, hopefully this thing won't be so out of hand that we'll be talking to each other from a bomb shelter.
Possibly.
But that's another thing. They're out of shelters in Tel Aviv and in Israel. There's more people than they have shelters for.
Well, I would say that they might have considered that before they became the war lords that they are, but that's not the way they're thinking. They're thinking of superiority of force and preparation and material, and for the most part, they're right. But the missiles are coming through, and the drones are getting through, and the exposure of the innocent people, of the average citizen, is greater than it's ever been, and that's on Netanyahu. He's asked for this, and he's got it.
And a few people, if they leave them outside, they get killed. Well, that's the price you got to pay for war, right?
Price of doing business.
Price of doing business. All right, Michael. I'll see you on Wednesday if the Lord's will and the creek don't rise. Until then, peace, and I mean it more than ever. Peace, love, and Manischewitz, baby.
Like to try a little bit of all of it, starting with the peace.
Yes, well, let's go for the piece first. All right, Mikey, take care of yourself. Thank you all for listening to our show this morning. We always appreciate it, and we will catch up with you on Wednesday morning at 11:10.
10:10.
Yeah, what am I saying? 11:10. At 10:10. Thanks a lot for listening.
See you then.
All right.